How's it going, everybody? I am AV Obsessed, and if you're watching this video on my channel, that means that you probably are too. And today we are going to be checking out the Wiim Sound Smart Powered Wi-Fi connected home audio speaker. Well, right off the bat, one of my main criticisms is they could have come up with a better name, just calling this the Wiim Sound Speaker. I mean, come on, guys, like, you could have come up with something catchy, like the competitors for this thing, like Sonos Era 100, or the LG Sound Suite M5, I believe, or Samsung with the Music Studio 5 speaker. Like they all have catchier names. This is just the Wiim Sound speaker. Other than that, that's obviously not a real criticism. I have been checking this thing out for about the past month, maybe month and a half. I actually don't even know. I'm really bad at keeping track of time. But I tried this thing out in many rooms in my house. For those of you who are new to the channel, you probably don't think anything of this, but if you have been watching my videos regularly, we are in a different room in my house today than where I usually shoot videos. Most of the time I'm in the living room or a basement bedroom that I'm using kind of as a home office, but today we are in the family room in the basement, and you get to see the Cantons again. Some people in the comments when I got the Bowers and Wilkins said they were sad to see the Cantons go. They're still here, but that was just a little bit of an aside. The Wiim Sound speaker is a really, really great little, I mean, I don't think I would call it little, but it's not extremely large either, but very well built. It's got the full like cloth wrap all the way around it, and it's pretty hefty actually. Like, this thing definitely weighs at least like 3 or 4 pounds. And inside of this little box, there is 100 watts of amplification, and that is going to a 4-inch long throw woofer, which I believe is probably positioned in towards the bottom here, and most likely faces going up and down like this, and is vented around the bottom front area of the speaker. And then there are 2 tweeters basically flanking the screen, like on the kind of on the corners. I could tell just by listening that the speakers are right about here and here. And they don't really tell you how that power is divided up. It could be 10 watts per tweeter and 80 watts to the woofer, or 15 watts per tweeter, so then you got 70 watts for the woofer. They don't really tell you how that is divided up, but what I can say is it does sound pretty good for a speaker of this size and this type. I haven't directly compared it to its competitors in my own listening space. I would love to be able to do that if any of these other companies who make these kind of speakers want to send them to me. I'd love to put them up against the Wiim Sound here, but for right now, this is the only one that of this type that I have tested in my home. But it does create a pretty decent amount of bass, even in a bigger room. Like, this family room is about a 14 by 15 foot room. So it's not a giant room, but it's pretty good sized. And this thing filled the room pretty well. The only thing that's close to this that I guess I could compare is the new Sonos Play Bluetooth speaker. And that thing, I mostly use it in the bathroom, and when I'm in the bathroom, it actually sounds like it's got way too much bass. And then when I bring that speaker into like my living room or my garage, it doesn't sound like it has any bass at all. So it's kind of interesting the way that thing sounds. This sounds considerably better. And also, talking about some spaces having too much bass and other spaces not having enough, Wiim does include with this a room calibration that's going to use the microphone that's built into your phone to actually compensate for that kind of stuff. So it will play a bunch of frequency sweeps on the speaker and use the microphone in your phone to listen to that and kind of try to flatten out the frequency response so you don't get way too much like boomy bass if you put this in a small room like a bathroom. And then if you put it in a big space, like I had it in my garage for a little while, which is like a 24 by 25 foot 2-car garage with 9-foot ceilings. That's a huge space. So they obviously must have been boosting up the bass a little bit on this thing to make it still sound pretty level in a large space like that. But I tried this speaker out and ran room fit like multiple times just to kind of compensate for each room that I tried it in. But I had it sitting for a little while on my old man chair, sitting on the end table next to it in my living room, and listened to it in the kitchen, just plugged in and sitting on the countertops. And pretty much no matter where I put it, whether it was a large space or a small space, it sounded really good. I would say it's an awesome enough sound system that I think that anybody who's not a crazy audiophile like I am, this, or what would even be better, and I wish I could have gotten these guys to send me to, but two of them in a stereo pair is going to be plenty for most people. Now checking out the graphs that I got by essentially putting the Wiim Sound Speaker directly in the middle of my listening room in the basement here on one of my homemade speaker stands. I put it pretty much exactly in the center of the room, and then I put the microphone 1 meter away, pointing up, because the calibration file I'm using for the mini DSP Mic 2 is with it at the 90-degree position, and had it 1 meter away and with the top of the microphone at the same level as where the tweeters are approximately on the Wiim Sound Speaker. And then I played some pink noise through REW to get a reference volume at 65, 75, 85, and then the maximum volume that it was capable of, which was only 88, so only a 3 higher than the 85. And then once I dialed in each of those frequencies, I would run the frequency response sweep to see what kind of frequency response we're getting at each of these volume levels, because most of these kind of powered speakers, what they will do, and a lot of them will do it fairly aggressively, is when you're at the lower volumes and you turn the volume up, all of the volume goes up. But then once you start getting up to higher volumes, what a lot of them will do is they'll continue to increase the mid-range and the treble, but the bass will stay quiet. And so it'll be louder perceptually, but you're getting less and less bass. So basically the graph would look like this if this speaker was doing that. And that was one thing that I was really impressed with, is the fact that it didn't really do that until I went from 85 dB to the 88 dB maximum. You could see that right where the bass starts to come in on this speaker, the 65, 75, and 85 dB lines are all pretty equivalently spaced out, but then from the 85 to 88 dB line, there's a very small difference in the lower, the lowest bass region that this thing is capable of playing. But then that comes in at about 70 hertz. So obviously there's not a lot of bass with this speaker. There's pretty much nothing below 70 hertz, but that's to be kind of expected with a speaker this small. That's why they make a Wi-Fi smart connected powered subwoofer as well, which I wish they would have sent me, because that would have been cool. But yeah, it's a really, really flat frequency response once it comes into the bass range that it's capable of, which is around 70 to 80 hertz. Once you get past that, it's very flat. This thing goes, from 100 to 15 kilohertz, it's plus or minus 2 dB from the reference line, except for there is one little peak of around 4 decibels, I think, from 200 to 300 hertz. But that might just be room gain in the room that I was testing it in. So I wouldn't put too much weight in that. I think this thing has a very, very good flat frequency response and sounds really, really good for what this thing is, essentially. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a demo of that, I'm going to put some sound clips up with some free, DRM free music that I got off of YouTube. So it's not going to be music that you're used to or anything like that. But it'll give you a little bit of a sense of what it sounds like. And the way I captured this was I essentially just kept the microphone stand and the speaker stand in the exact same spot. I used the same tripod, and I took the microphone off and put the camera on with stereo microphones and played the music through the aux port from my PC, and recorded that so that you guys could kind of get a sense of what it sounds like through these sound clips.
I can see a sea of alpine green, something that will stay with me. Sky is wrapped in blue, wish that I could share with you.
You're just standing on the cusp of what's okay and not morally gray, textbook insane. Now I'd like to draw this line you've crossed so many times. At this point I'm out of my mind. What's the point in loving someone morally confusing? It's not likely. You're so unlike me. Oh, I can't shake this feeling, 'cause I think I'm falling for the villain, and it's not looking like a good decision. Oh.
Talk to me when I look alright. The features in my face are alive, enough to form a present smile. The people I just met a while ago, to help lift off this heavy weight and push it back another day. I know it's happening anyway, so what the hell's another day? Have you seen the mess I'm in?
So talking about connectivity and functionality of this speaker, I was really surprised when I did the unboxing to find that on the bottom side here in the little cavity, it has an Ethernet port and it has a 3.5 millimeter auxiliary audio input on it. So if you, it's funny because I stream everything, so it's kind of hard for me to think of a good use case for that. But I guess if you wanted to run a record player into it and you had a stereo RCA on one side and a 3.5 millimeter connector on the other side, you could plug a turntable into a speaker like this, which would be an interesting use case. But most of these kind of Wi-Fi smart connected speakers don't offer Ethernet or any kind of analog audio inputs like that. Or like if you're Sonos, you do offer that stuff, but you have to buy a 3.5 millimeter to USB-C adapter. And I believe it has to be their like proprietary one to work with their speakers. You don't have to do any of that silly messing around with this thing. Other cool functionality that this thing has over its competitors is I don't think anybody else has a little touch screen like this that you can actually just run the unit off of. And the touchscreen also shows album art when you're listening to music, which is really cool. I have a very strong feeling that this, even though it is kind of large, but I have a feeling that that is a screen for a smartwatch, because that's what it looks like to me at least. And then on the top of the unit here, it has all the capacitive touch things for play, pause, forward, back, volume up, and volume down. So if you don't want to pull out the app and you want to like pause or skip a track or something like that really quickly, you can always just walk over to the unit, or you can grab their very Apple TV looking remote. This is one other criticism I guess I would say for Wiim. Like, you guys make awesome products, and I don't think you need to be trying so hard to look like Apple products, because this is crazy. Like, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised to hear Apple sue Wiim about this remote, because this looks so much like the Apple TV remote. You guys don't need to do that. I honestly think you're better than that. And yeah, you can come up with your own industrial design, but obviously this is just a very minor criticism. The remote is handy. It's very surprising that something like this comes with one. Again, I don't think any of the competitors in this smart Wi-Fi connected speaker universe include a remote with the unit. Now, if you buy the Wiim Sound Lite, you're not going to get the remote, and you're not going to get the little round touch screen for displaying album art and clock faces and stuff like that. But sound quality should be pretty much identical. So yeah, this is an interesting addition, and it is a USB-C rechargeable remote, so then you don't have to worry about switching batteries in here, and typically those kind of rechargeable batteries in a remote like this last like 10 years or something like that, so that's pretty nice. Other cool functionality that this thing has, and a lot of, pretty much all of the smart Wi-Fi connected speakers are obviously made to do this as well, but these can be used as surround speakers with either the Wiimamp Ultra, if you connect it to your TV using HDMI ARC, it can decode surround sound, so this thing can be used as your rear surround speakers if you're trying to build a Wiim-based home theater system. And also, it might be out by the time I put this video out, but the upcoming Wiim bar, like Wiim has a sound bar coming out that I believe is a 3.0.2, so 3 front firing channels and 2 up firing Atmos channels. And then you'd be able to pair 2 of these, or what would actually make more sense, because I don't think you would want a screen on your rear surround speakers, but the Wiim Sound Lite is what I would do if I was building a surround sound system with these. But yeah, you could pair either 2 of these or 2 of the Wiim Sound Lite speakers as the surround speakers for a soundbar based surround sound system. And then also you can, if you want to run a 2.1 system, you can run 2 of these, and Wiim also makes an 8-inch wireless powered subwoofer now. So you could build a probably pretty awesome sounding 2.1 system using a pair of these and that subwoofer. Now, when I was going through the reviewer's guide for this thing, it's literally the first line in the reviewer's guide says innovation through feedback. And I absolutely love that about Wiim. This company, more than any other company that I know of, listens to feedback and adds or changes or comes out with new features for their products through updating the app and the firmware on their devices. They move faster and listen closer to their customers than any customer that, or any company that I have personally ever like had any products from. Like that is genuinely like the fact that that's the first line in the reviewer's guide for this speaker speaks volumes to me, because I have had a Wiim Sound or a Wiim Mini streamer, the little hockey puck sized streamer from those guys, since I believe since it first came out, like 2020, 2021, something like that. And I've had the Wiim amp for just as long, or not just as long, but since it came out as well. And just seeing the evolution of the Wiim like music streaming app and how many features they've added to that over the years has been awesome. And then also just their software and firmware is just so well like established. Like doing this review, I moved this thing around in my house like probably 4 or 5 times, sometimes in one day. And other streaming devices like this, when you're unplugging and plugging them back in over and over again, eventually at some point it's not gonna connect to your network, and you're not gonna find it in the app, and you're gonna have to do a factory reset on it. If there's like a reset button to like press a little pin into a reset button or something like that, or like with this, it would be holding down the. Actually, I think you do the factory reset in the screen. I didn't have to do a factory reset, so I genuinely actually don't know how you do it. But usually products like this, if you move them around the house and plug them in and unplug them and plug them back in and unplug them and plug them back in over and over again, eventually you have an issue where you can't find it on your network, you can't find it in the app, and you have to essentially wipe it and reset it up. I never once had to do that with this. Every single time I moved this thing from one room to another, it would take about 30 seconds for it to boot up. It would make a little chime sound, and then I would be able to open up the Wiim app and connect to it and start playing music like right away. It's just that well done of a software / firmware system that that alone to me puts Wiim really far ahead of like everyone else in this space. Like I've had other streaming devices that every other streaming device, I should say, that I have tried has had issues with connectivity in the past, and the Wiim products just, they always work. I could probably leave this thing unplugged for a couple of months and then go and plug it in somewhere and 30 seconds later be playing music on it, versus other similar devices. If I did that, I know I would be messing around for at least like 5 to 10 minutes trying to get it to show up in the app so that I could actually use it. And that's one of the other things that I have just always loved about the Wiim products. So that is my review of the Wiim Sound Smart Wi-Fi connected audio speaker. One thing I never mentioned before, but it was in the reviewer's guide, so they probably want me to say it. Wi-Fi connectivity is Wi-Fi 6E, so it's got very high bandwidth Wi-Fi connection, and Bluetooth 5.3, so not the absolute latest version of Bluetooth, but definitely a latest enough and good enough version of Bluetooth for, you know, something like this, since it's not a super high fidelity, you know, audiophile, you know, multi-$1,000 system. But yeah, that is my review of the Wiim Sound speaker. I think that if you're not already locked into somebody's ecosystem, because that is one of the biggest problems with these types of speakers, is they are obviously all trying to lock you into a certain ecosystem so that you buy all of their products. But yeah, if you're looking for something like this and you're not already locked into someone else's ecosystem, I would pick up the Wiim speaker for sure, because it has just such great functionality and sound quality compared to the other speakers out there. It's at a reasonable price, and it's just a really, really cool little flexible speaker. And like I said, innovation through feedback is like one of my favorite lines I've ever read from a company like this. The fact that these guys listen to what the customers want. So yes, I would say if you don't want to go with the traditional home theater or hi-fi system, you're looking for something more modern and, you know, using wireless connectivity and all that stuff, I would probably buy into the Wiim ecosystem over other competitors because of how good these guys are. And also, I feel like Wiim is kind of taking the industry by storm right now. When they first came out, they were pretty much just on Amazon, but now I know there's other sellers selling them, and they even are starting to carry their stuff. I don't know if they have them at any Best Buy store locations yet, but Best Buy is even selling the full line of Wiim stuff now, so that's a really cool development. And I hope that they actually get physical products in physical stores so that people who've never experienced something like this can actually like see and hear these things in person. That'd be really cool. But yeah, if you're gonna buy one of these or anything else from Wiim or anything else from Amazon, that is, use my affiliate links down below, because then I get a small commission. It doesn't cost you anything extra, and it goes a long way to help out the channel. And also, obviously, the standard YouTube things, make sure that you like and subscribe and click the bell notification so that you know when future videos are coming out. Also, I guess I could probably announce this here, and hopefully this video is out before the show, but I am going to be going to CEDIA this year in Denver in September 2026. So if you're watching this video after September 2026, disregard this part of the video. But yeah, that's going to be an incredibly fun show, I think, and if you guys happen to see me there, make sure you say hi, and I will see you guys in the next video.